You're not, when you lose to the good ones only.
I'd like to think that. Two of them are right here in our district final.
Speaking of Moravian, I know you did mention Moravian Academy, but who are the ECAC Southern Division champions, Don?
As you stated last night, Gary, Moravian beat Muhlenberg on penalty kicks after a 1-1 tie, and they played the format for their breaker and had to resolve it with penalty kicks.
Is there a sport over there that they can't play well? I don't think so.
It hasn't been invented yet.
Especially against Muhlenberg. Chris Brown has been kind of busy here early on. Hasn't had to make any tough saves. Let the goalpost make the one. And he will kick it out of there.
I noticed one change that Coach Person has made in his lineup. He's put Tim Roth up to midfield. Tim usually is a defender, Gary. He's trying to get a little more firepower. And unfortunately, at the moment, they're not controlling midfield. And most of the play, as you mentioned earlier, has been in off their defensive third. With Southern Lehigh again on the attack.
Again, we apologize. We've got people who stand up in front of our camera right there in the stands. And sometimes they do block our view. We're going to get a throw in here by Voorhees. Headed out of there by Salisbury. And kicked right back into the action.
Nice shot on goal, save Chris Brown.
That was Valdez.
Sophomore forward who's a very good future ahead of him, Gary.
It's been all Southern Lehigh here offensively so far in the first quarter. We'll play 4 20-minute quarters, and sometimes a lot more than that. No call there. Good tackle by Salisbury.
Southern Lehigh really going to the ball strongly, Gary. They're controlling all the loose balls, all the 50-50 balls, and if this continues, they're going to be putting Chris Brown under a great deal of pressure again.
Throw-in will be taken by the Falcons. And kicking it out of there, number 18 is Timmy Roth. Timmy's a real good basketball player.
And speaking of Moravian, I think that's one place that he is considering for his future academic work.
John Makovic is up here in the booth with us. He's the head coach over at Moravian College. In fact, you may have seen him on Fast Forward a few weeks ago. And our congratulations go out to him and his team. They are the ECAC Southern Division champions. And they had to go to penalty kicks to do it.
No matter how he got there, I'm sure John is just overjoyed being there. He's had many good years, Gary, and has come very close to qualifying many times and has qualified in the past. And I'm sure he's very happy for his team this year.
Rich Carrick tried to move it up there for Salisbury. Had the ball taken away from him by Valdez.
Yes.
It's going to be kicked out of bounds. It will be Salisbury.
Throwing Joe Fix. Let's see what he does with it. He's looking for Roth.
Instead, Don, he dropped it off to Funk, who got it right back to Fix. Fix, and Funk. That's a nice combination.
Sounds like a law firm. There's the first shot on goal for Salisbury, taken by Joe Fix. It's wide of the left post. It'll be a goal kick for Southern Lehigh.
Our first good look at Kevin Herman, the Southern Lehigh goalkeeper. Many think he may be the best in the valley. And there are the others who don't, probably think it's Chris Brown.
Well, the word best is always a very tough word. It all depends on your opinion or your viewpoint. They're both fine.
We certainly got good goalkeeping last evening.
Good pressure being put on by Salisbury there, Gary, forcing Matt Miller backward on the touchline.
And again, the pressure being applied. Coming out is Brown. He gets caught up, but just as the ball is pushed out over the goal line, I believe it was by Mike Valdez again. So Valdez has been in the thick of things here early, Don.
It was a very nice ball played through to Valdez, and a very nice play on Chris Brown's part, coming out to go under him, get a piece of the ball. Or actually, I guess he didn't get a piece because they're going to award a goal kick here.
What he did do, obviously, was throw Valdez off, make him hurry a little bit, and he just simply popped the ball out over the goal line. No official clock here for us to keep track of, so we just kind of do it by the old wristwatch. As we told you, the clock really rarely will stop during a game, except for substitutions and the goal and for an injury. And our estimation now is that we've got about 13 minutes left here in the first period. Febrero is number 4. You saw him pick the ball, push the ball up. There's a shot picked up very nicely by Brown.
You mentioned Anthony Febrero. It's good to see him back. He had been injured earlier in the season for Southern Lehigh, and with him in there, it keeps them from keying too much on Matt Miller. It gives them another dimension, a strong player on the opposite side of the field, namely the right wing.
Southern Lehigh has had the better of it here early on. Salisbury has not been able to gather up any kind of offensive attack at all. They have pushed the ball up as far as Herman a couple of times, but no real scoring opportunity yet by the Falcons.
Ball played out by Faust there, the sweeper back of Salisbury.
Throw in taken by Zaremba, I believe.
That was Zaremba, number 13, Gary. That is correct.
We're going to have to get our director to run out and tie those people down so they can't stand up there.
Another shot wide of the goal, Gary, behind the net. Actually, it'll be a goal kick for Salisbury, and Chris Brown, the goalkeeper, takes all goal kicks for his team. Chris is a very fine foot. Watch the distance he'll probably get on this.
You were with us last night. We remarked time and time again about the cold weather. We thought the wind chill factor had it down in the 20s. I'll tell you, compared to that, this is a beautiful evening for soccer.
Throw in Salisbury.
The footing looks a lot better tonight, too, Don. I haven't seen anybody slipping at all out there.
Well, probably the type of day it was, Gary. It was a little warmer, and until the temperatures do dip, I think the field will stay very playable. Last night, several times there were slippages by defenders and offensive players, taking away opportunities or giving advantages, whichever the case.
Salisbury now, Don, playing with 2 freshmen as they get their first substitute in the ball game, and that's Eric Rodenberger. And am I to assume
Brother
he's
Paul is already in? I assume they're brothers. I would
same class.
Twins. They're both nice size freshmen, I might add. Sometimes you wonder about freshmen playing at this level, but skill is important in this game. Size isn't a big factor, but it doesn't hurt to be have a little bit of size, which both of these boys do appear to have.
Those 2 kids were not on the original Salisbury roster at the start of the season, so it's nice to have 2 kids like the Rodenberger boys that come along and really help your program by getting a lot of playing time.
Paul is filling in for Chad Merkel, who was injured, as I mentioned in our pregame show, playing against us at the Salisbury's field on their homecoming day.
Zaremba just simply drops it back to Herman, who kicks it out of there, gets it right to midfield.
There's Matt Miller on the move, and he is quick. Good help by the Salisbury defense.
Good job that time kicking the ball out of trouble by Rich Carrick. The junior number 17 defender pushed that ball right out over the end line. We'll have a corner kick here by Southern Lehigh.
Kevin Barnes, I believe, will take the corner kick. He usually does take them for his team.
You are right. The sophomore sets it up. Good scoring opportunity, Don, there by Matt Miller. He almost pushed that ball past the goal.
Nice defensive play by the defender to muffle the shot and force it over the touchline for a throw-in for Southern Lehigh.
Come right down, left go. Chris Brown picks it up. He'll kick it out of there. About halfway through, maybe a little more than halfway through the first period.
Some good skills by Joe Fix to win that ball temporarily. However, Southern Lehigh has gained it. Now Fix has it back and attempts to play it up to Funk, I believe.
Tried a little give and go, but after the give, he never got it back.
They will create a lot of scoring opportunities from that combination of Fix playing up to forward such as Funk and getting the ball back on what you call a give and go.
A lot of basketball principles at work here in the game, Don. The man-to-man, although they call it marking. Of course, the give and go.
Give and go, they sometimes refer to as a wall pass. If you push the ball to a player and he just puts his foot in there and redirects it back to you, it's called a wall pass, which is the same principle, however.
Again, the ball kicked out of bounds on the sideline will be taken in and thrown in by number 6. That's Joe Fix. Picking it up there, 10 is Funk.
Here comes the first Salisbury corner kick of the night. Tim Roth making a run up and playing the ball off a defender. Pat Riggs will take this one. He's placing the ball. The ball must be inside the arc or on the line of the arc. It cannot be outside and the flag may not be moved.
It was a low kick trying to get it to Fix. Fix shields off, and I think he's going to be called for a violation.
Called obstruction, Gary. He was preventing the defender from going to the ball, and then obstruction was called. There was a little bit of pushing on the way. For a second, I thought we might have seen a penalty kick should the defensive player have created a pushing foul inside the large rectangle or penalty box. It would result in a penalty kick.
It was a good call, though. You got a good look at the way Fix was obstructing. Now the goalkeeper will do a little dribbling of his own before he kicks it out of there.
Notice he uses the punt to clear it, whereas Brown has been using the drop volley, drop kicking the ball, so to speak. Brown's volleys have been lower. Kevin Herman's will be up into the air a little more because of punting it.
Nice move there by Miller to get away from some trouble. He was being hounded by Rodenberger. That one again out over the goal line.
I think Matt would like to have that one back. He had the freshman Rodenberger isolated one-on-one. Help was not right available at the time, and I think he probably could have penetrated a little more and perhaps put a move on and set himself up for perhaps a better attempt on goal than what he came up with there.
So it'll be Brown to kick it out of there. You see Faust move back into the goal. Stations himself right in the center just in case of a miscue. Fixes trip. It'll be Salisbury with a direct free kick.
Push there. Kevin Barnes going to the ball, but unfortunately he took Joe Fix out of the way. Joe Fix will take the kick here from approximately midfield, just as a couple feet inside of it. Excellent tackle over there by Kevin Barnes, playing the ball ahead to Matt Miller.
This time being pushed up by Faust. Looking for and dropping the ball off to Eric Rodenberger. And kick out of trouble.
And I believe that was Kevin Barnes again. Remember before the game how I mentioned how their midfield are such workhorses. 1 second ago he was passing the ball up. The next second he's back helping his defense out, keeping the pressure off his back line of defense.
Don, they always look to get the ball to Fix to kind of set things up.
Joe is a very key player. He's a very skilled player. He's going to be a nice collegiate player. He played forward in the past, but this year he was moved to midfield, and he's done a great job there, creating a lot of scoring opportunities both for himself and teammates.
Throw-in taken by Rodenberger, and then he simply drops the ball back after getting it back. And now Salisbury putting a little pressure on Southern Lehigh. But
it's Steve Bigger, the sweeper back, coming through and playing the ball in the touch. It'll be a Salisbury throw.
The winner will play here again on Thursday night as part of a doubleheader, AAA doubleheader. They will play the number 2 team out of District 4. The loser will have to travel to District 4 on Thursday night, and they will play the champion out of District 4. So both teams are still alive, obviously, in inter-district play. But this is for the coveted District 11 championship. Play now taking place primarily at midfield as the ball dropped back to Kevin Herman. Don, you were telling me on the way home that play, which looks like such an innocent play to get the ball back to the goalkeeper, was one that was kind of nightmarish for you this year when you had a goal scored.
It cost us a tie. Down. There's a shot wide of goal by Matt Miller, a nice left-footed shot. It'll be a goal kick. Getting back to what I was saying, yes, about the first 1 minute and 45 seconds of the game, our keeper called for the ball to be played back. When my sweeper played it back, somehow the ball mysteriously went right past him and went right into the net for an own goal, and we ended up in a 1-1 draw that day. It's one of those things that happen. This game takes many strange twists, Gary.
Oh, we saw it last night on 2 occasions when you least expected a goal to be scored. All of a sudden, there it was.
You can never rest in this sport. There's no such thing as a safe lead.
Again, the ball dropped down to Kevin Herman. He'll kick it out of there. We would think we're approaching about the last 3 minutes of this quarter. Again, our clock is highly unofficial. Official clock kept down on the field by John Endy, the sit-in official.
Nice head ball there by a sophomore defender, Chris Shaban, who's also going to be another one. You notice a lot of sophomores, Gary, in this Southern Lehigh lineup. Actually, when I talked to Dave Barnes last summer at our summer league soccer and so forth, he was very optimistic about this year, but he thought perhaps they might have been a year away from having the kind of season they're having now, because I think he has like 4 or 5 sophomore starters. But they certainly have matured, and they're where they hope to be next year. I don't know where they're going to be next year.
Well,
They'll probably be in another plane.
They've got 4 sophomore starters tonight, Don, along with 1, 2, 3 juniors. So that's 7 of the 11.
We'll be returning 7 too, and hopefully we'll be able to compete with them. We did not compete too well against them in one of our 2 games. The other game we did much better in. However, we still came out with 2 shutouts.
Kevin Barnes will take the corner kick here. Well, Dave Barnes makes no bones about the fact that he thinks he has a lot of kids who sit on the bench that could play for most teams.
Now, this is probably true, Gary, and where you are in school means so much in your playing time. A lot of talented individuals down there. Their JV team, I think, was, again, an excellent team. So they have a nice program going to keep their program at the notch it's at now. They're rated in the state. I forget where they were rated in AA. I think 2, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they were 1 or 2, and then their loss to Salisbury dropped them just a little bit.
Maybe to 4.
Yeah.
That thing fluctuates so much, Gary. It's just one barometer to gauge teams, but they're highly respected statewide, and justly so.
No score if you just tuned in. It's the first period. Southern Lehigh has had the best opportunities here in this first period. Salisbury has really not had a good scoring opportunity. They haven't made Kevin Herman make a good save as yet. Chris Brown has been kind of active down on the right side of the field.
Nice sequence here by Salisbury involving Pat Riggs, Tim Roth, and Joe Fix, resulting in a goal kick for Southern Lehigh. However, the defense breaking it up.
Fix was looking at
was involved in that.
Fix was looking at the referee, Bill Kovacs, and kind of pleading his case, but I don't think he was correct, and he probably knew it.
The contact was the only legal charge in soccer, shoulder to shoulder, both players having at least 1 contact point on the ground, and that's why the foul was ignored, because it wasn't really a foul, it was a legal charge.
Well, we played 1 period here in the Class AA District 11 championship game. The score, 0-0. You stay with us, we'll be right back.
This sports event is being brought to you with the cooperation of District 11 and the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic Association. District 11 schools and active personnel invite you to attend as many events as possible throughout the fall, winter, and spring seasons. However, if you cannot make it to the events, enjoy the excitement on cable television. And don't forget, your support of District 11 athletics is appreciated by all participants.
This is Twin County Television, serving the Lehigh Valley.
And we want to remind you that our Dream Come True telethon is going to be on December 4th, and we already have a lot of people to thank for all the efforts they have put forth already. Before that December 4th telethon, Miller's Grocery in Bethlehem, they're predicting at least $500 donation this year, so we want to pay special thanks to Joe and Gloria and Betty. Valley Federal Bank in Easton, they have really helped out as they have donated the posters to get us prepared for the telethon. Pennsylvania State American Legion Auxiliary, the ladies made a very large donation, which will be acknowledged on December 4th. The City Corps donation, again, a lot of money coming out of those people. First National Bank of Bath, they counted all the canisters and change for us. Plenty of thanks to those people who have helped us already for the Dream Come True telethon, which will take place on December 4th. And Don,
Southern Lehigh putting a little pressure on early on here. The ball was cleared out by a Salisbury defender, number 14, and that would be whom, Gary? I can't see the sheet here.
Number 15 is Mike Valdez. 14 is Steve Newman.
Corner kick for Southern Lehigh. Ball headed.
I hate when we come back, Don, while we're eating. Nice tray of hors d'oeuvres supplied here by Allentown College.
Coach Ron Quinn, formerly of Moravian Academy, doing a fine job out there, Gary.
So we'll try to hide the crunching in between words.
Throw in for Salisbury. Here's some deep penetration. They're down close to the Southern Lehigh goal at this point. Let's see what they can do with it, Gary.
Pat Riggs will throw it in and throws it right into the arms of Kevin Herman.
Kevin coming off the line, alertly gathering the ball. Let's watch him distribute with his punt. Got a push there, a forward for Southern Lehigh going to the ball and hitting a defender, an unfair charge. He was in the air. Therefore, the charge was unfair, and it's a direct free kick for Salisbury.
Called on
Played back
Valdez.
to Brown.
Mike Valdez was the culprit. Heading the ball out of there is Zaremba. And kicking it out is Voorhees. With the ball is Fabrero. Southern Lehigh will get a throw.
Southern Lehigh changing the field while going to both sides, distributing to both wings. Fabrero and also Matt Miller, taking a little pressure off Matt Miller, who is their top scorer. He's usually on the left wing.
Speaking of throw-ins, I got home last night just as my daughter was turning the game on a little bit just to watch it. Just at the point where the flip throw-in was made, which kind of took my breath away last night. It did the same thing to her. Her immediate reaction was, what the heck was that? And it happened twice last night.
And the second time it happened, it almost resulted in a score. It actually created one of the better scoring opportunities at that juncture of the game. It's perfectly legal, Gary, because it meets all the rules of a throw-in. Both feet are on the ground, on or behind the touch line. The ball is passed over the head with equal force applied and a follow-through made by the thrower.
And in case you don't know what the heck we're talking about, last night in the Freedom game against Emmaus, which Emmaus won on penalty kicks, on 2 throw-ins by Emmaus, I believe it was.
Yes,
right,
it was.
Tom? A kid did an absolute forward flip, landed on his feet before throwing the ball in. And it was really a sight to behold.
It really got distance. That second one was thrown in, I believe, by Eric Koch, and that was the one that lofted and came right into the middle of the penalty box, and there was a real melee in there, and unfortunately they couldn't score, but it certainly was an opportunity.
A lot of midfield action taking place right now here in the second period.
Here comes Miller to the ball, being marked very closely by Rodenberger.
Matt Miller has a nice build for a soccer player.
He's one of the quickest lads you'll ever see, Gary. He can really move.
With the ball right now, 15 is Mike Valdez. He's been around the ball a lot tonight. It's being marked by Rich Carrick.
He's basically a center forward, Gary, but he made a nice supporting run there, moving out toward the touch line to take the pass and attempt to cross it for his team.
Southern Lehigh has put most of the pressure on here, although no one has had a real outstanding scoring opportunity. Again, Miller pushes the ball up towards the Salisbury goal.
Southern Lehigh, Gary, doing an excellent job of supporting their attack and sustaining it. Notice their fullbacks, their defenders, pushing all the way up beyond midfield at this point. Now they're retreating a little bit because Salisbury has gained control.
Dave Fazekas is in there for Southern Lehigh, Don, number 12.
Southern Lehigh does have good depth, Gary. In fact, I would say that would be one of the advantages they could have over Salisbury. Salisbury does not have as deep a team, talent-wise, as does Southern Lehigh.
Southern Lehigh only one loss this year, and it was to Salisbury by a 3-2 score. They also beat Salisbury 2-1 in overtime.
Thing you must understand in that early win, not to take anything away from Southern Lehigh, but that was when Mr. Brown was not in goal. He sustained a concussion in the Moravian Academy game, which was 2 games before Southern Lehigh, and that was a period of time that 2 of the 4 losses, I think they have 4 losses, Salisbury were gotten during 3 losses. 2 of their 3 losses occurred during the time when Chris was out injured.
That's a little foot pass attempted there, but got past Fabrero. He couldn't get to it.
Salisbury playing a little more long ball now, Gary, looking to chip the ball over the midfield of Southern Lehigh right up to their offensive players, their strikers. But unfortunately, Southern Lehigh is just handling everything and sending it right back at them.
We got a direct kick here taken by Southern Lehigh. Could be a big play. They're not all that far away from the goal.
I would say they're about 30 yards out. Let's see what Salisbury does defensively. They're holding somewhere around the 18-yard line, which is the line going across the penalty box.
Dana Savage will take the penalty, or not the penalty kick, or the direct free kick. Tries to drive it right into the goal. It's just a little bit high over the head of Chris
I was not
Brown.
surprised to see that, Gary. He did score a goal as a defender coming up supporting the attack in the championship game against East Stroudsburg, which was played over at Moravian College. So Craig does have the ability to come up and participate and support the attack and be a meaningful part of it.
It'll be Chris Brown to kick it out of there. It might be a good time. We've had a lot of goal kicks. It might be a good time to explain when you get the opportunity to punt it out of there and when you have to lay the ball right down, as there was a good scoring opportunity. Nice play by Brown.
All right, Brown stopped the shot there. He has caught the ball. Once he's committed and caught it with his hands, he's got 4 steps to punt the ball out, drop volley it out, throw it or roll it out. He must get rid of it within 4 steps. He cannot delay. However, Gary, when the ball passes over the goal line and it's propelled by the offensive team, then it is placed down on one of the lines of the 6-yard box called the goal area, and it is taken by a free kick coming out at that point. However, if the defensive team knocks the ball over the end line or goal line, then it results in a corner kick, and I think we've seen about 4 of them. Here's a free kick for Salisbury taken by Joe Fix. Offsides, I believe, called. The Southern Lehigh defenders moving up and sort of hanging somebody out to dry in an obvious offside position. Ball played back to Herman, and he will distribute.
Don, of course, referring to the Southern Lehigh kids moving up very quickly before the ball was struck, leaving a Salisbury player in the back area there, and
not having 2 people between him and the goal. The only one between him and the goal was the keeper, Kevin Herman, and that constitutes offsides.
Now Salisbury getting some action in the Southern Lehigh end of the field. There has not been a lot tonight. It's been all Southern Lehigh offensively.
And here comes the long throw, Gary. Here comes Joe Fix. This lad can throw the ball.
He does it all. Headed out of there by Salisbury, but right onto the foot of Southern Lehigh's Fabrero.
I believe that's Faust coming up, heading that ball. Brown will take charge here as the ball comes into the penalty box, and he will drop volley it out. No, he punted that time.
Faust is the protector for Brown. He comes back and follows that ball right into Chris's hands, making sure that nothing goes awry.
Very important that there's good communication, Gary. The keeper must take charge. He must control the whole field of play. He's got everything in front of him, sort of like the center fielder in baseball has everything in front of him, or the catcher looking out has the 9 players in front of him.
No whistle. Another good crowd on hand here tonight from both schools. Just about the same size we had last night, Don. They're filling up almost the exact same seats.
I would estimate perhaps a few more. I think there might be more people in the area behind the 1 goal than there were last night. However, it's a nice crowd. Both of these schools do support all their athletic teams. They always have and they always will. They're fine fans.
We have a whistle. Salisbury on the move. But again, taken away by 25, Dennis Savage. Kicked out of there smartly by Herman.
Little mix-up there. The ball was not cleared too well that time by the Southern Lehigh defense, and Herman did come off the line and clear the ball for a throw-in for Salisbury.
Carl Hunziker is number 24. He's a senior who took that throw-in.
At the top here, a direct free kick coming up for Salisbury. Let's see what Southern Lehigh does. They're building a 4-man wall, which must be 10 yards away from the point of play where the ball is spotted. Joe Fix looking to take it. The wall moving to the left to cover the near post. They'll probably start on a whistle because they had a delay to move the wall. Let's wait and see, Gary. Here it is.
Oh, great shot.
Taken by Riggs. Beautiful stop by Herman. Carrying the ball over the top. Out of play, and this will be a corner kick.
Well, am I glad you interrupted me right before that happened. I was just going to say this has not been a game of goalkeepers up to this point, which is what we talked about at the top of the show. But that was just an outstanding save by Herman. Great shot by Pat Riggs.
Anybody that scores tonight will earn it, believe me.
Again, the corner kick. Picked up again, and it's saved.
Nice job again by Herman coming off the line, gathering the ball in traffic. He's going to get up now, and he'll look to distribute to one of his teammates. He's throwing the ball this time to Steve Bigger, I believe it is, playing it wide to Greg Dansevich, playing the ball up the wing to Miller.
Salisbury did not have a good scoring opportunity this entire game, and all of a sudden, within about 30 seconds, Don, they have 2 outstanding scoring opportunities, both of them stopped by Herman.
Actually, that whole sequence began with the coach's nightmare, a poor clearance in the penalty box. That's where everything started, Gary.
Again, this time now, the ball back into Salisbury territory, and Southern Lehigh putting on some pressure. Cleared out of there nicely by 14 Faust.
24, I believe it was.
24 it was, all right. That was Eric Rodenberger, the freshman.
Outstanding job there of tackling the ball away and clearing it upfield.
Whistle.
I believe we have obstruction there, Gary.
Hasn't been a lot of substituting in the game.
Southern Lehigh made some early on, but I think they're going pretty much with a pat lineup now, as is Salisbury. I did mention that I don't think Salisbury has quite the depth of Southern Lehigh, the quality depth. But, you know, you only need 11 out on the field, Gary. These boys are conditioned to go the distance and have done so many times.
Good push up that time, and it's going to go out over the end line. Doing a nice job was Herman again.
And Kevin paid the price for that. He went right under the foot and took the ball right off the boot of the forward coming through. And as you can see, he's limping around. But I think he's going to be all right, Gary.
Here he comes into your picture now. Looks like his right ankle. Dana Savage is kind of standing around there and wondering what happened defensively, how the Falcons got a good scoring opportunity there. Somebody not doing their job. So Dana Savage will kick it away.
There's Faust again, the sweeper.
Faust's going to lose it.
Notice Faust slipping there, Gary. That's the one part of this field I do not like, where that baseball infield is. It makes it very treacherous footing. Even when it's dry, it's a hazard.
Be taken by Dana Savage. And headed out of there by
Greg will take it again. He looks like he has a pretty nice long throw, Gary. Let's watch.
It was Rodenberger who headed it out of there.
Going to have a push here. I think Faust went to play the ball and was charged from behind. You might wonder why they execute that little maneuver there. What they're trying to do is get the ball into the keeper's hands where he can punt it, where he can probably get more distance in kicking the ball from a dead position on the free kick going out.
Most of the offensive play in the game has been by Southern Lehigh, and yet the best scoring opportunities have been 2 of them by Salisbury. We figure we're down to about the last 8 minutes of this period. No score, nothing. If you just tuned in, we're in the second period. Play right now at midfield.
There's Fabrero winning that ball, moving back with it, playing it back to Voorhees, I believe it is. He's looking to chip the ball into the center. Headed by Miller. It's Kevin Barnes going to the ball. I'm sorry, that was 2 that time. What happened to be...
That's Voorhees.
Mark Voorhees, yes.
Dave Herr is the guy who took the brunt of that collision, number 8 for Salisbury.
Dave Herr was the hero in the Moravian Academy game, Gary. He's the one who made the winning penalty kick.
And the temperature beginning to drop just a bit.
Not nearly as bad as last night,
no,
however.
I don't think it'll ever drop that far tonight.
Just calm down now.
Looking to gather it up is Rodenberger. Drops it off to Faust. Faust being marked closely by Voorhees.
Nicely played. They're using his keeper. Keeper using the advantage of the hands and looking to distribute. They have a lot of confidence, Gary, in their playbacks with Chris Brown. Very sure-handed, quick to come off the line to support his defenders, which is a very important thing.
The goalkeepers have been there when each team has needed them so far in the game.
Brown doing a little bit of jockeying there. First he came out when it looked like the ball would not be won by his team. When the status changed, he went back into the net.
Just a reminder as the ball goes out over the sideline, let's take a look at our football action, which will be coming up next weekend, as we'll be back on the gridiron after our soccer weekend. Next Friday night, we've got East Penn Conference action for you, and the team that everybody is talking about, and that's the Easton Red Rovers. They have now won 18 consecutive East Penn Conference games, which is a new record for Easton High School. They are currently undefeated, 9-0. And they will take on the Northampton Concrete Kids. And we want to remind you that on Saturday, we will have the Nazareth Blue Eagles against the Wilson Warriors in that big traditional matchup. Game used to be played on Thanksgiving Day. Wilson with a win today over Salisbury will take an 8-2 record into that game. And we do want to remind you that we'll be on Dial 5 next Saturday. Dial 5 because it's an HBO weekend on Dial 4. So if you want to watch local high school football, you watch us on Dial 5 next Saturday night.
Salisbury throwing here, Gary. Substitution made for Salisbury a few moments ago. Brad Funk starting forward, returning into their lineup, number 10. There's the guy I love that just went to that ball, Faust. You talk about somebody that has courage and plays with courage.
Reckless abandon, they used to call it.
I guess that's the term. I call it courage.
I call it stupidity. You can get hurt doing that stuff.
Usually the guy going to the ball with that kind of gusto isn't the one to get hurt. There's a play back to Herman. Looks like Steve Bigger was the sweeper going back and playing it safely to his keeper.
And Riggs was breathing down his throat.
Those are the kind when you ask the kids about it at the half, it looks a little skeptical to you as to whether they should have done it. Oh, it was never in doubt, Coach. We had it all the way.
The ball here is for Brero. Kicked out of there by Timmy Roth. Maybe not a real good play. Timmy just tried to drop it.
Actually, there was a little miscommunication. Faust went to the ball, too, and he actually collided with his own teammate.
Calls against Southern Lehigh for tripping, and getting up limping is Funk.
This will be a direct free kick, Gary. It can go directly into the net. It does not have to be touched more than once to go in. Riggs takes it. Cleared out by a defender.
Riggs looking for Joe Fix. He was headed for the goal. Picked up by Brown. Fix couldn't get anything on it. Now Fix looks like he may have gotten kicked.
Fix was under a lot of pressure there, Gary. They both boys attempting to play that ball. Joe's running well now. I think he's going to be all right.
Last night, anybody got kicked had to rub that sucker for about 10 minutes before that pain.
I'm surprised they could feel it last night. Brown doing a nice job going outside the penalty area there, Gary, and playing the ball over the touchline with his feet. Remember, once he's outside the big rectangle, he cannot touch the ball. If he touches it, it's a handball, just as if any other player on the field had done so.
Throw-in taken by Evans. Don, just to get back to last night's game, at any time, did you get a chance to find out what Sean Miller's injury was?
It was a cramp, Gary.
Okay.
A severe cramp. And it certainly hurt them in the penalty kicks. Sean, being a little taller, a little more experienced, probably would have been a better person to have in that. Not to take anything away from Dean Rawley, who did such a great job the whole remaining portion of the game when he replaced the injured Miller.
Well, there we have it. Our first half of play has ended. There has been no scoring. That's what we had last night. And then we had a good third period where both teams got a goal. We'll see what happens here tonight. Right now, it's Southern Lehigh nothing, Salisbury nothing. Stay tuned. We'll be back with all the second half action right after this timeout.
Twin County TV presents the Community Bulletin Board. This time is made available to all church, civic, or other nonprofit organizations. To have your announcement aired, write the Community Bulletin Board, Twin County Cable TV, 5508 Norbath Boulevard, Northampton, PA 18067, and send us your information at least 2 weeks before your event is to occur. Remember, to have your information aired, write us at the TV4 Community Bulletin Board, 5508 Norbath Boulevard, Northampton, PA 18067, and send us the information at least 2 weeks before your event is to occur.
Thank you.
I went in the back door.
All right, we are back. The second half has just begun.
See you guys.
No score here in
With
the
a
second half.
violation, Gary. A free kick coming up for Southern Lehigh.
put into play by Southern Lehigh.
Everybody talking up here about how they thought the game might be won here tonight, because it's been a pretty even game. It's been a good defensive battle, and there's a good save here early on.
One thing I think Coach Person has to feel good about was the way they came back in the second period, Gary, and put some offensive pressure on Southern Lehigh. Conversely, Coach Barnes had the good pressure on early on in the first quarter, but they went a little flat in the second. So I'm sure he talked about getting the intensity up and getting the attack back to their side so they can create some opportunities.
And as we look back on that first half, again, Southern Lehigh put more pressure on Salisbury during the first half of play, but Salisbury had the two best opportunities to score. So the big saves came in the person of Kevin Herman. Chris Brown has been very steady, although he has not been called upon, Don, to make any kind of outstanding save.
He's had a very routine night, but I'm sure when the time comes, he will answer the challenge, Gary, as he has done in the past many, many times.
We certainly don't want to start talking about overtime yet. We've got a long way to go. Last
got 40 minutes of play, Gary, maybe about 38 at this point.
Oh, there's a great shot on goal, and goalkeeper Chris Brown didn't have to touch that when it was wide and then high to the right side.
I can't pick the number up on the shooter there, Gary. I think it might be Valdez.
It was Mike Valdez, the sophomore, and he has been a real thorn in the side of Salisbury tonight, Don. He's had quite a few opportunities around the goal.
He's the central striker up there, Gary, and he does a good job. When he's anywhere around the goal, he will let the ball go like he did there, and he created a nice opportunity. It was just a little bit to the wide to the right, unfortunately.
Their leading scorer is Matt Miller, and we really haven't called his name all that much tonight around the goal. And Don, have you picked up who's marking him tonight?
I believe Rodenberger was marking him in the first half. I haven't picked it up in the second half, but all I know is the guy's on him like a blanket. But there he's using his blazing speed to get by him. Here comes Matt Miller.
Well, just as we mentioned him, he does give himself an opportunity, but a beautiful tackle, Don, in there by Faust.
Faust, the sweeper back, and that's part of his role in there, Gary. He does not have a man assignment except on certain situations. On free play like that, he's got to play the ball coming into that area or a man. In that case, it was the man with the ball. He went out and tackled it away, thus denying an opportunity for Southern Lehigh.
Again, Southern Lehigh keeping the pressure on Salisbury, as they have most of the evening. Centering pass attempting to come in through to Jeff Evans. He couldn't quite get to it. It was kicked away. This is Mike Valdez. Looking to distribute, push it up.
Valdez was going backward there in the touchline, looking for some help, playing it back to somebody who was open. No one was open, so he kept coming back and ended up crossing the ball himself.
There was Matt Miller trying to get a crossing pass. He comes right back and gets it himself. Good tackle there by Voorhees. Ball's loose in front.
There's Brown coming out, making what many people wouldn't think is a very spectacular save, but just the same, a very necessary one.
We're almost going to have to keep our field camera on all the time when we get near a goal, because those people just continue to stand up in front of our camera. So we'll try to keep that field camera on when we're near a goal so we don't miss it.
Steve Bigger making a nice play there from sweeper back, destroying the play, pushing it out, making a forward run, playing it to Matt Miller.
Wow, what a great pass. Oh, what a great opportunity. Great shot stopped by Brown.
Brown diving flat out there, ball going off his body, out of bounds. It'll be a throw in for Southern Lehigh. So Brown really answering the challenge in the early going here in the third period, Gary.
Boy, was that a super play, Don. I think it was Valdez who passed it up to Miller. Miller got the shot off.
It was a nice run. The whole thing was initiated by Steve Bigger, the sweeper back, who stepped in, intercepted a pass, pushed it up, got it back, and then sent the ball up to Valdez and then to Miller. And I think it went back to Valdez for the shot, did it not?
It did, and you know, Don, we're surrounded by soccer people up here in the booth, and from the moment Bigger made that play, you could almost sense how everybody could see things opening up and ready to happen.
Sometimes a sweeper back making a run like that creates problems because no one picks him up, and that's exactly what did happen in that case. No one picked him up. What somebody has to do, even though they're marking someone else, they have to leave their man because he has the ball, and that will take precedence, and nobody did that, and that made the Hall play unfold the way it did and almost resulted in a score for the Spartans.
But there is no score, and that's the way it's been the whole game. 0-0. Throw in will be taken by Salisbury. That's Dave Herr. And the fans getting into the game. We had an excellent performance by the Salisbury cheerleaders at halftime.
Dave Hurd trying to find Joe Fix in the penalty box here. Joe very tall, a good person to throw to. There's Steve Bigger, the sweeper back, pushing the ball out.
And Shaban got it out of there.
There's a shot over the top, a wild shot. Be a goal kick for the Spartans. Kevin Herman, the keeper, will be setting it down. It'll be taken by fullback Greg Dancevich.
Midfield play now. Southern Lehigh will push it up. Dropped off to Miller. Just couldn't quite get it.
I think he lost his footing there, Gary. He made a nice move to elude the defender. He really went well one-on-one on the defender there, set himself up, and just as he set up to shoot, it looked like his support foot, his non-kicking foot, slipped from under him, and thus the attempt on goal was not a very strong one.
We do want to remind you that we have football next weekend, and that will mean that these are the last 2 weeks for the football giveaway. Billy Hobson and Spalding from the Lehigh Valley Sporting Goods all year long. They have helped us in giving away a football. Those are the good guys in Copley. So you let us know that you watch Sports 4 or our other local programming. If we use your name on our football telecast, you will get a free Spalding football, and it is a nice football. And Bob Garris always has that with him, ready to pass it forward to one of our viewers. So let us know, and thanks all season for Bill Hobson and Spalding for their donation.
I understand Bob has about a 65% completion rate.
Yes, he does.
The
Yes,
NFL might be looking for him.
The only trouble is it's usually to the opponent.
You just got to tell him to throw it to the guy in the white shirts or the blue shirts, and whichever you're playing.
He used to be a pretty good passer as an elementary teacher.
He passed everybody,
That's
I understand.
Right. Ooh, tough, hard tackle. Then we're going to call a trip.
Gary, Salisbury making a little change. They've moved Tim Roth back from midfield back to defense. He's the one that is playing Miller. You asked before who was playing Matt Miller. It is Tim Roth. So they're putting their experienced senior defender, which he was all year, on the experienced Matt Miller.
Salisbury now with a penalty kick. Trying to get it to Joe Fix. Scoring opportunity is out of goal was Herman. And waiting there was Davey Herr, but he got tackled and fell down.
I think Steve Bigger saved the day there.
Dana Savage will take the kick, and he just simply drops it off to his goalkeeper, Kevin Herman. That's Fabrero, number 4. 14 on him is Faust. They both go to the ground. This is Riggs.
Southern Lehigh continuing to put pressure on the Salisbury defense at the moment, Gary.
Dana Savage again will throw it in. At midfield, number 6 is Kevin Barnes. Don, this has been a real good defensive struggle here.
A lot of midfield play, Gary, although Southern Lehigh at times has put a little more pressure on Salisbury than the reverse.
Don, at halftime,
Brown ready to clear.
I heard one comment, maybe you'd like to comment on it. Somebody in analyzing the first half up here in the booth said simply that this is typical Colonial League soccer. What was their point in saying that? More defense than offense?
I think it was a comment made to get a reaction from yours truly. And I think many times the East Penn Conference seems to think that they are superior in all aspects of the game, skill level and what have you. And in maybe some years this was true, but I'll tell you right now, these two teams out on the field in Moravian Academy do not have to take a back seat to anybody in any conference in this area.
Well, nobody can be questioning the skill level of this game. We've seen a lot of outstanding skills by the individuals.
I think maybe what they were saying was there was a little bit of kick and run. They were playing a lot of long ball. You remember I mentioned how Salisbury was having trouble getting the ball through midfield. They were getting it tackled away. So they tried to play the long ball over the midfielders up to their striker line. And sometimes this can create a very poor game because there's just not good ball control.
Eric Rodenberger getting a lot of play. He did not start. His brother Paul Rodenberger, both of them are freshmen. He did start, but Eric's been in there almost the full game, Don. He came in about the middle of the first period.
I was going to say he came about maybe 6 or 8 minutes into the game and has been in since. That should be a foul throw there. I thought it looked like he did not follow through.
Bodies have been flying around here in the third period. Here goes the battle. It'll be Joe Fix trying to get to it for Salisbury. He's beaten to the ball.
Saremba beating him there. And here comes a Southern Lehigh substitution.
Entering the lineup for Southern Lehigh, number 11, Doug.
That was 11, Doug Helsel, a junior.
Doug has done some scoring for the Spartans this year. They've had numerous people score. It's not by any stretch of the imagination a one-man team, a Matt Miller show. He's had some teammates that have 10 or more scores for the season, I'm sure.
Miller has 26 goals and 13 assists on the season. Joe Fix has 12 goals and 9 assists for Salisbury. Don, we get a call.
I believe we could have a penalty kick here, Gary. A handball being called by Bill Kovacs. The ball on the penalty spot. He's very decisive about it.
I'm heading for the pencil. There we go. It's just simply kicker against goalie, against the keeper. This is, of course, how we decided last night's game. As you get a look at the two officials, Dan Cruttenden, the nearest to you. The ball will be placed down by Joe Fix. It'll be Fix against Herman. Don, a crucial violation by Southern Lehigh.
Any intentional major penalty inside the big rectangle results in a penalty kick, and there was an obvious handball as picked up by referee Bill Kovacs, who emphatically called it, pointed to the spot, placed the ball. Now it's between Joe Fix and Kevin Herman to see if we will have a score.
Penalty kick will be taken by Joe Fix.
Joe Fix will take it. Of course, the senior leading scorer for Salisbury, looking for his 13th goal of the season right here. Methodically taking his time. The clock is right around 9 minutes. Here it is. He scores.
No doubt about that one, Gary. It was in the upper left corner, but I think there might have been a violation. I guess not. No, they just want to get the score to the scorer's table, and they'll start play with a kickoff.
Don, let's go back now and recap the whole situation for us. The reason for the penalty kick.
The reason for the penalty kick was a handball by a defender inside the penalty area, inside the big rectangle. It's a major penalty. It's a direct free kick outside the penalty box. Inside the penalty box, it's a penalty kick.
The call was made. Joe Fix went to take the penalty kick, and he does score at the 9-minute mark of the third period. And Salisbury leads it by a 1-0 score. There have not been many scoring opportunities in this game. So that goal looms as a
that was a major break, Gary. A penalty kick is always a big break, and it was capitalized on, as good teams do, and now Southern Lehigh sort of has their back to the wall.
Let's see if this picks up the tempo a little bit for Salisbury.
They'll have to get that pressure and sustain it like they did early on in the game and throughout a lot of the first half.
Last night, of course, you saw that after we went 2 10-minute overtime periods and then 2 5-minute overtime periods, the whole game came down to penalty kicks. Emmaus won it 4-3 in penalty kicks to win the game 2-1. Salisbury now putting on some pressure. The throw in by Pat Riggs.
Taken by Pat Riggs.
Kicked out over the end line. Riggs will take it again. Instead, he drops it off to Fix.
Fix is their long thrower. I'm surprised they don't have somebody standing right in front of him. Here he comes. Here comes Doug Helsel to try to make him throw over top.
Oh, good save by Herman. Timmy Roth tried to head it
head
in.
ball by Roth. Good attempt on goal. The ever alert Herman thwarting his effort, however.
So Salisbury now, after the penalty kick goal, they have come back to put some offensive pressure on Southern Lehigh. Trying to get the second one, maybe wrap this thing up.
Nice play back by Danisevich to Herman, rolling it back out to Greg. Let's see what he'll do with it at this point. He's carrying it upfield on the dribble.
Just about 9 minutes left to go in this period. Period number 3.
I'm down around 7, guys.
Okay, we'll check that. We're down now around 7 minutes in the period. Again, all clocks kept up here in the booth are unofficial. The only official one down on the field kept by John Endy, the sit-in official. And the ball will come back and be pushed back to Herman, so it gives us an opportunity again to tell you that a Veterans Day fundraising dinner will be held at the Northampton Community Center November 11th at 6 p.m. The speaker will be General William C. Westmoreland. He'll be the honored guest as well as the guest speaker. For more information, you can call Don Williams at 253-4111 or Gene Sally at 820-3295. That's a Veterans Day fundraising dinner, General William C. Westmoreland, November 11th at 6 o'clock. Call Don Williams or Gene Sally. Again, pushing it right back to Herman.
Offsides, Gary. They looked like Salisbury got another break on the clearance by the goalkeeper. They were beaten to the ball. The ball was coming back toward the Southern Lehigh goal, but unfortunately Joe Fix was in an obvious offside position, not having two defenders between him and the goal when the ball was played by his teammate.
Don Southern Lehigh now having some problems getting any kind of offensive continuity.
This often happens, Gary, after a score. Sometimes there's a temporary breakdown. Should Salisbury be able to capitalize again, it could be curtains. They can ill afford to go down 2 goals in a game as even as this one has been.
This time it might be a good time to reveal Don Benner's prediction to me at halftime. I said, well, Don, who's going to win the game? He said, well, we'll go about 5 minutes into the 3rd period. Salisbury will score, and they'll win it 1-0. So you look like a prognosticator up to this point.
Don't call me those nasty names, Gary.
I don't think you thought it would be by penalty kick, however.
No, I said it was going to be in a breakaway. I had a hunch on that long ball. One long ball was going to go through and somebody was going to run onto it. Chris Brown making a nice save there, imploring his defenders to come back and help a little more, directing them and telling them to do their job.
Salisbury with a goal lead now. They certainly don't want to give up any silly goal. You get a good look at Greg Danisavage of Southern Lehigh, the senior defender. One of the outstanding defensemen for Dave Barnes.
What I like about Greg is the way he attacks. He's always up supporting the attack in a position when balls are played in clearances. If they're not accurately played, he's right there to push the ball up to the attackers.
See how Joe Fix shielded and used his body there to
very
keep
interesting
the
matchup
away.
there, Gary. Pat Riggs going to a through ball, running with him was Steve Bigger, and keeping him from getting much on the ball. Kevin Herman playing his attempt on goal.
Bigger, the Southern Lehigh sweeper. Here the ball is coming down, a shot on goal right into the hands of Chris Brown. Shout by Fabrero.
Brown made that look very easy, Gary. That was not an easy chance.
Fabrero had a tough angle. He tried to put it up in the upper left-hand corner. Brown was there.
It's one thing a goalkeeper has to learn, Gary, is how to position himself to cut angles on shots just like that. He's got to be close enough to protect that near post so they can't blister it by him, but he's also got to protect that far post.
Coming to the sideline now, number 20, Ken Weed, and he'll get a rest. Throw in comes from Dave Schneck. Again, up to Brown. He'll simply grab onto it and kick it out of there. Faust goes back to his normal defensive position in the net every time Brown has the ball. Southern Lehigh with a throw in.
Nice first-time ball there by Pat Riggs, changing the field, attempting to play it over to his other wing. Southern Lehigh destroying the play, playing it straight ahead to Voorhees. Broken up by Faust, I believe. Riggs again trying to play it through.
There's Riggs and Fix. They're never too far from one another. Down to the last few minutes of the 3rd period. Southern Lehigh trails Salisbury by 1-0 score.
Nice move here by Riggs to elude a defender. He's looking to cross. There's his attempt.
No blue shirts there, only white ones.
I thought
Great centering
perhaps
pass,
Kevin
though,
Herman
Don.
would come off the line and take that. He sort of stood for a moment and let it up to his defender. I think
It's going to be a corner kick by Salisbury. Pat Riggs will take it. Never gets to the goal area. Beautiful tackle there by her.
And they're offsides, unfortunately.
Joe Fix's eyes were probably fixed on that net as he saw he was going to have an opportunity.
The Southern Lehigh defender there, Gary, had better get rid of that ball. It's no place to play around with it in your own defensive third of the field. Fortunately for him, they were in an offside position when the ball was won by her. By her, yes.
Kevin Herman. He's already given up more goals than he normally does.
Well, the one he gave up, Gary, there's not an awful lot you can do on those penalty kicks unless you guess right and make a strong move and just happen to get a piece of it.
He has an unbelievable .39 goals against average. He's given up 8 goals in 20 games.
Now, they have posted, as I said on the pre-game show, 13 shutouts as a team. So that has to be to Kevin's credit. He's the one that directs the defense.
So highly unusual for them to look up at the board and see a 1-0 score against them. Salisbury did score.
Salisbury has had the opportunity to score upon him.
They've scored 4 of their 8 goals. 4 of the 8 goals scored against Southern Lehigh have been by Salisbury. That's going to be the end of the third period. Salisbury put together the big goal on the penalty kick by Joe Fix at the 9-minute mark. They lead at 1-0. Stay with us.
For the Money Store's 20th anniversary dinner. Just think, they started as a small second mortgage company, and now they're America's #1 independent home equity lender, offering fixed-rate second mortgage loans as low as today's prime rate of 8 3/4%. To celebrate this occasion, every qualified borrower can have a special anniversary gift. A free Money Store sponsored MasterCard. For details, call the Money Store toll-free. Dial 1-800-221-9000.
You are viewing Twin County Television, TV4, serving the Lehigh Valley.
All right, welcome back. Final 20 minutes, maybe. Southern Lehigh trails Salisbury by a 1-0 score. Don Benner, let's put you into the Southern Lehigh huddle there during the break. And what do you think Davy Barnes is going to do now to try to get his team right back in this?
Well, I would surmise that Davy will probably go about 6 minutes playing normally, but after 6 minutes, they're going to really make some offensive pressure. They're going to probably send more players up. They may only go with 2 back defenders along with their keeper, push a lot of people up, try to keep the pressure on Salisbury and try to get the equalizer. They can afford to go about 6 minutes without panicking, but after that, it gets to be crunch time, Gary.
It's going to be a direct kick here by Salisbury.
Salisbury keeps going like this. The pressure will be, unfortunately, on Southern Lehigh. They've got to get the ball. Here's Joe Fix chipping the ball. There's Herman coming off the line, playing it with his feet. And here's Southern Lehigh coming the other way. I think it's Voorhees.
Going out over the sideline. Fabrero couldn't get to it. So it'll be taken in by Salisbury. Coming over to get it will be Faust. Played up to Funk. And there's Fix. Faust, Funk, and Fix.
Joe's a good guy to be playing to, Gary. He's got very excellent skills, and he screens the ball very well. By that I mean he keeps his body between a defender and a ball. He's a hard guy to take the ball from, and the more times they can put the ball into possession of Joe, I think the better it's going to be for Salisbury. Southern Lehigh now, as I alluded to earlier, has got to go 6 to maybe 8 minutes normally, but then they're going to have to really push. They're going to have to shoot people up there and more or less make something happen for them. It could be positive, it could be negative. You're always taking a calculated risk when you reach this juncture.
Pushing called against Southern Lehigh. The kick will be taken by Eric Rodenberger. Out over the
Throwing for Southern Lehigh.
Taken by Dennis Savage.
Dennis Savage going to throw it. Let's see if he can get a nice long one in here.
These are the kind of plays now that loom is very important for Southern Lehigh.
Threw the ball deep down to Valdez. Valdez, the bigger, who is pushed up. Ball's cleared out temporarily. There's Danisevich again playing the ball up to Valdez. Here comes Miller.
Good effort by Kevin Barnes, Don.
Kevin made some nice moves trying to set himself up. However, he had to push the ball just a little bit too far past the defender to run by him, and another defender came to the ball and foiled the attempt.
Was the call there against Salisbury.
This point of the game, Gary, you're going to see Joe Fix all over the field. He's normally a midfielder, but you'll see him back helping on defense. You'll see him up on offense. Joe
see that
really
fake
be moving.
he just threw? Wow. Stepped right over the ball, made it look like he was going to go one way, went the other.
Yeah, he
dropped it right back.
deceived the offensive player. He thought he was going to turn the ball up the touchline, kick it up there, and he turned it back to the goalkeeper instead. Very good move, feigning over the ball.
It'll be Salisbury with a throw-in.
Throw in Falcon.
And the whistle blows. Carrick wanted to get it into play immediately.
Here comes Pat Riggs returning to the Falcon lineup, replacing her, I believe. No, it's not her. It's a double-digit number, Gary.
Time becomes critical now in the game. 3.5 minutes have passed by here in the fourth period.
There's a push there, Gary. Salisbury will get a free kick. Let's see who's going to take it.
I believe it's going to be her. Pushed up towards Fix, never gets to him.
Salisbury sustaining some pressure here, keeping the ball up in the midfield and toward their own offensive third, and that's an important factor. The more they can keep it away from their own net, the better off they're going to be here.
Out over the end line.
This will be a goal kick for the Spartans.
They, of course, don't want to wait around. They want to keep the ball in play. That clock continues to run. Southern Lehigh, the Colonial League champions. Salisbury, the runners-up.
Ball played back to Chris Brown. Salisbury defender down on the play after he played it back. There was some contact, and he's laying down just outside the penalty box, between the penalty box and the corner flag.
This is our first injury of the evening tonight. In fact, the first long stoppage of play that we have had. It's been a quick-moving, fast-action kind of game. 1-0. Salisbury leads it on the penalty kick by Joe Fix at the 9-minute mark of the third period. We would like to remind you that the Western Lehigh Optimist Club Home Improvement Show will be held at Allentown's Ag Hall November 27th, 28th, and 29th. Their slogan, the Optimist Club Home Improvement Show, the slogan is "Be smart, don't start drugs." Support this Optimist Club venture. Again, November 27th, 28th, 29th at the Allentown Agricultural Hall.
The injured player is up now, Gary, being administered by Pat D'Amelio, the trainer for Salisbury. He will have to come off since play was stopped. There will be a replacement, and the replacement appears to be number 8.
Number 8 is Davey Herr.
Entering the lineup for Salisbury, number 8, Dave Kerr.
Is that Rodenberger that he's replacing? I think it could be. Number 9 it is, isn't
I believe it was Rodenberger, and in fact, the last time I think we called Herr's name, it was indeed Rodenberger who had made that kick. So Paul comes out, Herr comes back in. Southern Lehigh on the attack, but taken away by Fix.
It's a key matchup now, Gary. Somebody has got to control Joe Fix. Every time he gets possession and keeps possession and makes plays like that, like he just did, it's definitely buying time and helping his team out. Here's Joe getting the ball again, carrying it on the dribble.
Great move. Oh, super effort there by Fix, right into the hands of Herman.
And
but
up
the
with a
clock
shot
keeps
on goal,
running.
Gary, and the clock is ticking.
Throw in will be taken by Riggs.
Salisbury again creating a lot of pressure. That ball is down in the offensive third. There's going to be a throw-in.
Don, we of course have no interest in who wins the game. I mean, that's not important to either one of us. But really, you almost hate to see this game decided on that penalty kick situation.
Well, Gary, last night we had it decided in the same way after playing 80, 90, about 100 minutes of soccer. So I'd rather see it happen within the context of the 80 minutes than at the end of the penalty kick contest. I would rather have seen a goal scored off play action. I think anybody would, any pure soccer fan, but this is all a part of the game. Breaks are a part of the game. It was an unfortunate one for the Spartans, but there's still plenty of time here, and they're again on the attack.
It's Bigger. Tried to drop it to Miller.
Bigger normally is a sweeper. I noticed they pushed him up to a midfield position, which could be a very important thing for the Spartans. He's doing a nice job of supporting the attack and creating some things for them.
And we would be remiss if we didn't take time out to thank Carl Dickel and the District 11 staff for all their help. We also want to thank both Jeff Person and Dave Barnes, who took time out this evening to chat with us a little bit about their teams prior to going out to play. Two outstanding gentlemen, Don, are Dave Barnes and Jeff Person.
And they certainly have enviable records as coaches. Success always proves one thing, that nice guys don't always finish last. These are two fine gentlemen and have great records.
Yeah, there are a lot of rotten guys that finish last.
Gary, please.
This will be taken by Chris Brown.
Actually, I believe I only ever finished last once, Gary.
Well, I wasn't referring to you. Field getting a little slick.
And there's another break for Salisbury with the defender from Southern Lehigh going down on the slick turf.
Out over the goal line.
Salisbury not capitalizing this time. However, it will be a goal kick. There's about 12 minutes left, I would surmise.
That's correct. Well, there is a good illustration of the charge.
That was a classic charge.
By
Southern
Joe
Lehigh
Fix.
free kick, direct free kick to Matt Miller. Kevin Barnes passing the ball in, picked up by Chris Brown.
Almost a little mental error there by the Salisbury defense.
They've come close a few times, Gary. I hate to say it, but they've had a couple of things happen that had some close calls.
Matt Faust kind of shaking his head there about what could have happened there.
Kevin Barnes doing a nice job supporting the attack, attempting to play it up to Valdez, but Mike cannot handle it. It's going to be a throw-in for the Falcons. Here comes Matt Faust for Salisbury.
Taken by number 14, Matt Faust.
Throwing the ball back safely to Chris Brown.
Don, in a lot of sports, when you get in this situation now where you're looking at the last 10 minutes and you must score, one of the key elements is often that you don't panic, don't try to do anything outside yourself. But is that true in soccer? I mean, is this where you only get that one goal?
Very definitely. Like I said, he can stay 8-10 minutes normally without making any changes. He's made some changes just by switching some personnel, trying to get some stronger players up onto the attack. There was
Don, I'll tell you, falling
that,
down was Fabrero, or he would have had a perfect opportunity for a score. Fabrero just simply slipped.
What you can do in soccer, Gary, is just deploy your people a little differently. Like I mentioned earlier, maybe they'll only go with 2 defenders, 4 midfielders, and 4 strikers trying to keep the pressure on. But for the moment, they're playing it pretty straight, just switching some personnel. I mentioned that Bigger, who's normally the sweeper, has moved up the midfield. along with Kevin Barnes, they're putting a lot of pressure on right now, trying to get the ball up to their striker line or create an opportunity for themselves.
Well, they did create the opportunity. Fabrero would have been in great position, and he simply slipped down before he could put his foot on the ball. Ball comes up, picked up by Herman. He'll get it out of there as quickly as he can.
Nice clearance beyond midfield.
9 minutes to play in regulation. Here comes Miller. Kicked out of there smartly. And I'm not sure who did it. I believe it was Faust.
Again. Seems like we're calling his name quite a bit, Gary.
He's played a great game.
Much like Kieselhorst last night.
Miller was coming down, ready to make his move. Oh, it's headed in. No, it's just wide.
Nice parry by goalkeeper Chris Brown. It was a lovely cross made by Southern Lehigh. A forward running onto it, heading the ball. It had goal written all over it. Here comes our corner kick.
It was Steve Bigger. The corner kick, here's an opportunity. Knocked out of there by Salisbury. Schneck. Another shot kicked out of there.
A lot of pressure being put on by the Spartans now, Gary.
Bigger was the fellow who had the opportunity to head the ball in. Again, they come down smothered by Brown.
Brown courageously going under the feet of Matt Miller to pick up that save, Gary, and that was one tough save. Very critical one.
Again, just to recap, as the action had been fast and furious, it was Steve Bigger who had the entire right top corner right in front of him. He tried to head it in. It just went a little bit wide, and Dave Schneck did a good job of clearing the ball out of there. So Don, Southern Lehigh now putting all the pressure they can.
As I told you, Gary, I said they're not going to sit back. They're a very aggressive team. They did not get the record they have by sitting back and waiting for things to happen.
I think dangerous play called there against Southern Lehigh. May have been a charge.
It was a charge, Gary.
Okay.
Got to get a forward up there, Southern Lehigh. That's it. Make them do something with the ball. Don't let them delay.
That forward was Chris Chabon.
Chabon usually a defender too, Gary. It's showing you how Coach Barnes is deploying his personnel just a little differently, putting who he feels are his more talented people up toward the front where the scoring opportunities should come.
Tripping foul called against Salisbury. Southern Lehigh will get a direct kick taken by Dana Savage. If you just tuned in again, the only score came at the 9-minute mark of the third period. Joe Fix on a penalty kick. A handball was called in the goal area against Southern Lehigh. The penalty kick taken by Joe Fix. He had no problems at all as he simply drilled it right past the outstretched arm of Kevin Herman. Salisbury leads it by a 1-0 score, and I would guess we're down to around 8 minutes. 7.5.
Nice free kick taken by Riggs. There's Kevin Herman collecting the save. Ball coming up the midfield.
Salisbury again very content to keep the ball in the midfield area away from their goal.
Keeping it in midfield or pushing it up to their offensive third is what their objective is, even if they don't get a scoring opportunity, just so they move the ball away from their own net.
Good pass by Dana Savage there, Don, up to Miller.
A lot of pressure by the Spartans now. Here comes Kevin Barnes.
We had a whistle earlier.
Holding foul. Called against Salisbury.
Direct free kick for the Spartans. The hold was picked up by the official. Somebody was holding out. Let's see where they'll place the ball. I would imagine about 30 yards out and slightly to the left of the goal. Salisbury will probably be holding defensively somewhere around the 18, playing man-to-man, marking every player up.
Be Kevin Barnes, Don, or Valdez.
Wall.
Barnes or Valdez will take it. Valdez drops it off. Tried to get it to Miller. He could never tee it up.
Nice attempt to get the ball to their bread and butter man. The first man over the ball, Kevin Barnes, trying to get the wall to move. The second man, Valdez, pushing it out to Matt. Matt, of course, could not do anything with it because of alert Salisbury defensive play.
Southern Lehigh again pushing it up. Coming out to take it is Faust. Out over the sideline. It'll be a throw in by Southern Lehigh. It'll be taken by Helsel.
Nice play by Valdez, sending the ball up toward his forward line. There's Danasevich heading the ball.
Good
Southern
play there.
Lehigh again on the attack.
That was Barnes with a good play.
There's that interesting matchup. Timmy Roth taking the ball away from Matt Miller.
Steve Bigger trying to keep it alive.
There's Timmy Roth again. He's going to muffle the ball
Good
off
play.
of Bigger, and it's going to be a throw for the Salisbury Falcons.
5 minutes to play in regulation. 5 minutes. Salisbury leads 1-0, trying to get a AA championship trophy.
Interesting comment coming out of the crowd there, Gary. I don't know if you picked it up. Somebody yelling, "Make it happen." I think that's what the Spartan fans are pulling for here. Somebody's got to make something happen.
Well,
They certainly have been trying. They've put some tremendous pressure on in the last 7-8 minutes.
last evening, the top seed fell. Freedom to Emmaus, the number 2 seed. And at the moment, the top seed is trailing by a 1-0 score. Remember, both teams will continue action on Thursday. One will travel to District 4. That's the loser. One will stay right here as part of a doubleheader against the number 2 team out of District 4, and that will be the winner.
I'm sure both teams would rather stay right here, Gary.
That's true. The one thing Jeff Person said he didn't want to do was travel to District 4. And at the moment, he's in good position to stay home. Salisbury keeping some pressure on now. Chasing it and getting to it first. Number 12 is Fazekas.
Shot on goal by her. Goes over the top. That ball was really bulleted. Had it stayed lower, I'm not so sure if Herman could have made a play on that.
Southern Lehigh asking for a ball. They know that clock continues to run. Herman says, "Get me a ball."
They have people on the sideline running the lines, supplying the balls in, Gary, but unfortunately I think one went out of play over the fence. However, if there's an unnecessary delay, the official will stop the clock.
3 minutes to play in regulation.
Officially, 3 minutes remaining in regulation.
Picked up by Dana Savage. So much nicer tonight, Don, in picking out the numbers.
Numbers are very clear tonight.
Nice
Of course,
to have
we
the
have the
contrast
colors
in
straightened
background.
out.
Yeah, that's true, too. Oh, good play. Chris
see what the call is
Shaban.
here. It'll probably be
Shaban
a
was
goal
in a
kick.
pretty good position there to get a goal.
Chris Shaban is a sophomore, usually a defender. They've moved him up on attack, too. Like I said, Coach Barnes doing everything in his power to get his team back into this ball game.
Not hard to tell which team's winning, Don. When the ball was down this end, Herman screaming like crazy to get a ball. So
Chris
he could kick
Brown
it,
nonchalantly placing it on the goal line for a goal kick.
taking his time. Kick it as far away from his goal as he can.
There's an important ball. Kept it in play. It goes all the way up. That'll eat up some more clock.
Be taken.
Foul called here. Looked like there was a trip.
This may be Southern Lehigh's last good scoring opportunity the next time they are able to push the ball up the field.
Time is definitely of the essence, Gary. We're inside of 2 minutes.
1:45, the clock is running. Kicked out, and here's where Southern Lehigh, Don, will probably get their last opportunity. It'll be a throw-in taken by number 10, Bigger.
Let's see what Steve will do with it. Looking for Matt Miller in the box. Matt going to the ball. There's Shaban. Handball is called.
Handball violation against Southern Lehigh.
The ball caromed right off his arm, and it was a handball called.
Again, Salisbury taking their time. Standing there in despair is Shaban. Again, kicked out over the end line by Fix.
There'll be a goal kick. Southern Lehigh wanting to get the ball into play very quickly here. Time keeps going. It's not an unnecessary delay, so they'll keep the clock running. Nobody has stopped it.
Final 40 seconds. This is Miller.
Nicely played defensively by Tim Roth. Sliding tackle underneath, kicking the ball out of bounds.
Roth knows exactly where Miller is at all times in this situation. That's going to
There's
do
the
it.
ball game, Gary. District champs are the Salisbury Falcons.
So Dave Barnes goes a whole season losing only to one team so far, and that's Salisbury. The Falcons have defeated him in the rubber match of the 3 games these two teams have played this year, as they win it by a 1-0 score, the only score coming at the 9-minute mark of the 3rd period. Joe Fix on a penalty kick after a handball was called in the penalty area against Southern Lehigh. And Don Benner, a very evenly matched soccer game tonight, and the only difference is that violation in goal.
One mistake, and that was all she wrote, Gary. It was a very well-played ball game, in my opinion. Either team could have won. Southern Lehigh putting a tremendous amount of pressure on Salisbury, but the Salisbury defense standing up to the task at hand. Of course, Chris Brown, the goalkeeper, directing that defense. Matt Faust in the back, and Tim Roth doing a very important role in the second half, that of marking Matt Miller and keeping the speedy Matt Miller from finding the equalizer. To Southern Lehigh's credit, they really pushed up, sent their better players forward, tried to make something happen, but unfortunately it just wasn't in the cards. Our best to both teams as they continue on into inter-district play. They're 2 fine representatives. Who knows, Gary? I think there's a possibility they could meet again.
Well, that would seem to be appropriate, as these two teams have played outstanding games against one another all season long. Salisbury winning 2 of them now, 1-0 and 3-2, and Southern Lehigh winning the other one by a 2-1 score. But this is the big one because this gives Salisbury the district crown. Southern Lehigh, of course, has the Colonial League championship to their credit.
This was the case in both AAA and AA. We had a league champ and we had a district champ. So I guess this was the way it was written for the script for this year. Penalty kicks being a big factor in the Hall tournament. Salisbury getting here on penalty kicks, Salisbury winning on penalty kicks.
So we have 2 good soccer games this weekend. We hope you've enjoyed our soccer weekend. The sad part, of course, is we say goodbye to Don Benner. Don, another outstanding job.
Thank you,
I know
Gary.
you've enjoyed it, and we've enjoyed having you with us.
It's been my pleasure, Gary.
Final score tonight, Salisbury, they're the district champs. Our congratulations to Jeff Person and the Falcons over Southern Lehigh by a 1-0 score. We wish both well as they will play Thursday night against District 4 opponents. Final score tonight, Salisbury 1, Southern Lehigh 0. For the whole crew, for Julie Eccles.